Here's what's ahead for Michigan State. They do have their quarterback, Aiden Childs, back from last year, a 5-7 season. We're active in the portal with 23 transfers coming in as Jonathan Smith begins year number 2 in East Lansing, and the Spartan coach is with us right now. Coach, great to have you. First of all, what are the biggest things you learned about your program, about your conference here in year 1?
Yeah, I think you learned a ton. I mean, I don't know about biggest, but depth matters in this league. You play 9 conference games, and the ability to play multiple guys, especially it's a physical game and all of that, and so that matters. And so you mentioned it already, and adding to the roster competition, and that learned a ton. I actually think too, I learned in the Big Ten schematically. I look at the coaching taking place. You're going to get exposed. You do something well, they're going to take that away. You got to be ready to adjust. And I was really impressed watching throughout the year the adjustments getting made schematically.
We had a chance to talk. You were on one of our shows in the offseason, and we were discussing the line of scrimmage. And I know you felt like both lines of scrimmage last year were areas that you had to get better. We were just talking to Stanton, and I think he feels like there's a lot more depth there on the offensive line. Like, kind of bring us up to date, both lines of scrimmage, how you think you've evolved.
Yeah, I think we've addressed it in ways, starting with creating more competition in those rooms. Offensive line, Stanton himself mentioned it. 4 transfer portal linemen that arrived in January that have had snaps in college football, creating more competition in that room. Stanton, among others, returner starters that have played at the O-line position, sort of creating more competition. Got to get bigger, faster, and stronger. I think continuity in the scheme, right? The offense isn't dramatically changing, and so allowing those guys to grow into year 2 now, feel confident we're going to be better there.
I want to ask you about your quarterback coach, and I feel like last year was a double-edged sword. On one end with Aiden Childs, raw, talented, fearless. He's got a desire to make big plays, but it also got him in trouble at times with some of the mistakes. So how do you balance that? You want to protect that and keep that, but how do you balance also having him hone it in a little bit to bring back on some of the mistakes?
Yeah, that word balance is correct, because he can create, he can make all the throws, he's competitive, right? So maybe it's not great first, I'm going to go extend this play, and so you like some of those attributes out of him. At the same time, not making a bad play worse. Sometimes, second down is okay, or punting the ball is okay. I think through his experience of last year, you learned. You look at him statistically, games 1 through 6 versus 7 through 12, the stats are a whole lot better. In the back end, we want to stay on that trajectory and then do our part also. We talked about the line of scrimmage surrounding Aiden schematically, but also with personnel to get him the ball, other guys the ball. I think we've done that.
You talked about the line of scrimmage, particularly the offensive line. What are some of the things you've heard that the offensive line have been doing to bring that continuity together?
Those guys are getting together off the field. Jim Mahalchek, our offensive line coach, has been doing it at a high level for a long time. Him second year with those guys. I think that O-line group is great in regards to their competition. They understand that they're going to need 5 guys out there, but we want to play 8, 9 guys in a particular game if they earn that. And so all of that, being a great teammate in that room, pushing each other, understanding that we want to play at a high level with 5 guys.
And how about the backfield? Because you're replacing Lynch Adams and Nate Carter, some new faces there. Yep. How would you evaluate that position group?
I think we're talented but young, kind of unproven, right? Our 2 lead carriers from last year are gone. Elijah comes in to a Tolliver that has played in college football and almost had 1,000 yards last year. He's the oldest one in the group. You look at the rest of them, they're in their first or second year of college football. So that's where I'm excited to see how that continues to play out in August with some young talent, the competition in that room, and finding 2 or 3 guys that feel great about.
Let's talk about your depth at the wide receiver position, which is obviously a position where you have to have some guys really produce. You have a big-time player without a doubt there, but as he continues to grow as a player, how about the rest of the room?
Yeah, Nick is a really good player. I appreciate the way he approaches it. He's always working on his craft, but he's also a great teammate, and he understands he wants to be playing next to guys that can take some of the load. He doesn't want to sit there and see a double team the whole time. So 6 new receivers that arrived in January to add to that room to complement. Amari Kelly had a big-time spring for us. He's got proven snaps. Kershawn McCray, again, proven snaps at a previous place with a little bit of different skill set. And so we feel good that room, you're going to need more than just one guy, and we've got multiple guys we think can stretch the field.
Yeah, it's kind of doing the math there. We talked about Childs, his arm and potential. Nick Marsh, one of the more proven freshmen in the country. Jack Velling at tight end. And then you're talking about the new faces in the backfield. When I think Jonathan Smith, I think run the ball and play great defense. But it seems the receivers, quarterback, and tight end are more proven right now than the running back room. Do you anticipate any adjustment to your team's identity?
Yeah, I think early on you got to go with your strength, and we'll see what that is coming out of August camp, right? But I do think we have ability to stretch the field in the passing game, a returning quarterback, with the tight end position being a huge factor in the passing game, and then growing the running back room. We want to have some balance offensively, but ultimately we're trying to score the most points in a particular game and whatever that takes.
Just talk a little bit about your defense and how they're going to really support this team this year.
Feel solid with our front seven. We've got some depth there. I think Jordan was up here. He had a great spring, did a lot of good things for us last season. But the inside linebacker room, not just only with Jordan, with Wayne, Darius Snow coming back, we feel like we got pretty steady inside. Malik Spencer, and Kai Martinez, and the back end safeties returning. So the middle of the defense, we feel really solid about.
I felt Joe Rossi is one of the more underrated defensive minds in all of college football, not just the Big Ten. What's it been like getting to work with him now going into year two and seeing him teach the defense?
Yeah, really impressive, to be honest with you. That's why you go back to this idea of continuity from year one to year two. Watching Joe, along with that defensive staff, but obviously Joe's heading that up, implementing, finding ways to improve the way he teaches. Feel awesome that our defense, with his leadership, will take a step from year one to year two.
Coach, let's go off the field a little bit and talk about support staff and just how crazy and where we are right now in college athletics. You talk about general managers here, player personnel over here. How does that affect the way you approach your organization?
Yeah, I think that role has become more and more important. And now I think about it this way: is you place value on players now. Back in the day, you got 85 scholarships. Each guy, well, he's a scholarship or he's not, everyone's about the same, 85. Well, now, no, that's different. You're placing value. And so for having a general manager and really a personnel department to have a third opinion on the value of that player, I think it's vitally important.
I can't help myself, Coach. I got to go back to the quarterback once again. John Boyer, your quarterback coach, right? And he's been with you since Oregon State, with Childs, too, for his whole career. What is it about him that you trust so much, and what does he bring to the table for Childs?
Yeah, John's really an expert at that position. Watching him operate for 5 years with us at Oregon State, knows that thing inside and out. I think he's a compliment to, has been a coordinator before, had a previous relationship with Aiden. I think that was huge and value for Aiden to come in. Allows now Brian Lingard, offensive coordinator, to be able to maybe a little bit holistic approach with it. He's still with the quarterbacks quite a bit, but the relationship with John and Aiden, I think that allows now John to drill down on exactly, not just Aiden, the entire quarterback room, what they need to work on.
How important from a mental aspect was your approach with Aiden last year? As you discussed, I can remember saying, hey, he's going to struggle. You knew he'd struggle at different times, but you were going to stay with him. He wasn't going to have a short leash.
Yeah, I think it just continued conversation, that we had confidence in him, understanding that things weren't all going to be easy. He did some really good things. Yeah. We had opportunities early in the season to, one player not, and it's not just all on him. I think he appreciates, too, our commitment to improving around him. We got to continue to improve around him, and feel awesome that we've gotten better, and anxious to see it this fall.
I had a love-hate relationship playing against Michigan State in my career. I loved it because of the rivalry, the intensity. You knew you had to be at your best, but I also hated it because there was a physical brand of football that you could expect every time the Spartans took the field. Just from a team identity standpoint, where do you feel your team's at to where you ultimately want it to be?
We're getting closer. We want to make the thing physical on both sides of the ball. We want to have that type of brand of physicality and the effort that we play with. And I think we've grown to play at a higher level this next year, and feel confident that if we can play with that type of other physicality, clean up some things, we can run off a lot of wins.
Coach, I want to ask you a little bit about the schedule. The Maryland game being moved to Detroit. What's the logic behind that, and what can that do for your program?
Yeah, it's a couple of years ago, Michigan State went over there and played a game in Detroit, and it turned out it was a positive experience, it sounded like, for everyone. Fan base, that location turns into a great kind of football weekend around there, with the Lions got the home game, we got to play, high school championships are going on. It's a holiday weekend, and so even for our home fan base, students are gone. It made a lot of sense, and all that played into something that we're going to do.
You got a challenging conference schedule. How important is it to get off to a good start?
Yeah, it's going to be a challenge. You want to start fast. We start with 2 road games, right? Our first one in the Coliseum out in West Coast and then go travel to Nebraska. And so that's what we signed up for. We're excited about playing in what I think is the best conference in America. Nothing's given. You got to go earn it, and we're excited about that challenge.
Jonathan Smith, head coach of Michigan State. Really appreciate it. Thanks a lot, Coach. Looking forward to seeing the Spartans in camp towards the tail end of our camp tour.